The film opens in 1969. Iris, Breck passenger, is going out on a date with Paul, Max Lloyd Jones, to a brand new high-rise eatery called Skyview. When Iris sees a child taking a coin from a wishing fountain, she becomes anxious about the heights. The child keeps making Iris anxious by purposefully stomping on the elevator's glass bottom to frighten her during the ascent. A bartender at Skyview cracks open a bottle of wine, sending its cap into a chandelier. One of the pieces falls to the reinforced glass floor, creating a crack. Iris, who is a few months pregnant, keeps becoming anxious and goes to the bathroom, where she throws up. One of the singer's sons is also in the restroom, and his mother has instructed him to wait for her. After spotting Iris, the singer congratulates her. Iris is anxious about Paul's response and hasn't told him yet, but the singer urges her to pursue her happiness. After that, Paul leads Iris to the observation deck where he pops the question. He is ecstatic when Iris tells him about the pregnancy, and she agrees. The unruly child from before is throwing pennies off the deck at the same moment. After one of the pennies falls into Skyview's ventilation system, a fan causes it to release gas into the eatery. Iris and Paul dance on the glass dance floor with a number of other restaurant patrons to celebrate their proposal. Paul is killed as the floor suddenly shatters, sending several of the visitors plummeting from the tower. The gas then ignites an open flame that starts in the restaurant, resulting in an explosion and burning several patrons. Iris then makes multiple unsuccessful attempts to escape, including the elevator collapsing under the weight of the passengers and severing a man in two, the stairs collapsing as people rush down them, and the tower's supports collapsing, forcing visitors to press against the glass windows. The majority of the other guests are killed when the penny from earlier strikes a piano, causing it to crash onto a woman and the windows. The penny-throwing child then appears to have escaped the restaurant before being crushed by the falling piano.
After noticing that the singer's son is still alive, Iris crosses the crumbling restaurant to save him. Iris and the boy are then left dangling off a chunk of concrete as the floor cracks even more. She and the kid fall to the bottom as Iris's ring becomes lodged on the support and the weight tears the skin off her ring finger. After experiencing the premonition, Stefani Reyes' Caitlin Santajuana is shown wailing in the present, as the boy dies last and Iris is pierced through the mouth by a large glass shard. Stefani's grades are suffering as a result of the Skyview premonition, which she has been viewing as a recurring nightmare. At the encouragement of her roommate, she concludes that Iris is her estranged grandma and makes the decision to take a leave of absence, return home, and seek clarification. Stefani returns home and meets up with her brother Charlie, Teo Briones, and father Marty, Tinpoli. Marty is aloof when Stefani questions him about Iris. He accuses Iris of being the cause of her mother Darlene's, Raya Kilstead, departure from the family. Angry that Stefani never contacted him after going for college, Charlie is as aloof from her. After that, Stefani takes Charlie to see their cousins, Bobby Campbell, Owen Patrick Joyner, Eric Campbell, Richard Harmon, and Julia Campbell, Anna Laurie. It is evident that Charlie has become closer to their cousins rather than Stefani as a result of her absence. After that, Stefani approaches her Aunt Brenda, April Tellick, and Uncle Howard, Alex Zahara, for additional clarification. Howard is furious because as he and Stefani's mother, Darlene, grew up, Iris experienced severe stress from her paranoia about surviving the premonition and knowing death was approaching, which she then passed on to her kids after Paul passed away. After that, Brenda stealthily leads Stefani to a box of letters Iris wrote to their relatives, alerting them to death. Stephanie locates Iris, now portrayed by Gabrielle Rose, using the letters. Iris is dying of cancer after spending more than 20 years confined to a gated facility. Iris presents Stephanie with a notebook that contains all the information she has accumulated about death over the years, including incidents like the Flight 180 catastrophe, Final Destination 2, and the Route 23 pileup, Final Destination 2. Iris then discloses that after working down the list for all these years, she saved everyone following the premonition, but now death is coming for their family. Stephanie tries to flee while Iris tries to persuade him to stay with her in the restricted area. Iris rushes outside to deliver her notes to Stephanie in spite of her terror, and she accepts her fate. Death then kills her by directing a weather vane from an impacted fire extinguisher directly into her brain. Stephanie's mother, Darlene, who now lives in an RV and travels between trailer parks, shows up to Iris's funeral. Stephanie is upset with her because she left them when they were young. After she leaves her college, Charlie confronts her for doing the same thing. Darlene then went home to join the Campbells for their memorial barbecue. She rejects Howard's attempts to persuade her to remain at their home. After that, Howard calls everyone together for a toast to make the most of their remaining time together. Then, during the BBQ, a number of accidents occur. A shattered glass fragment finds up in someone's drink. A malfunctioning gas tank nearly burns Eric, and a rake is right underneath a trampoline Bobby is jumping on. When Darlene noticed the rake, she moved it, but a hose inflated after an unattended Heiss Pale Ale beer bottle fell. Over the same time, Stephanie returns home, looks over Iris's notepad, and starts to sense Death's presence. Then, a single shard of glass falls in front of her as a family photo is flung to the ground by a blast of wind. Stephanie rushes to the barbecue after realizing they're in trouble. When she gets there, it's too late. Bobby is on the trampoline when it rips, and the glass breaks, sending the shard falling right side up. The hose then sends the rake tumbling into their lawnmower, triggering it and throwing it directly into Howard's face, killing him as he steps on the shard, impaling his foot.
Following Howard's funeral, Stefani calls the family together to talk about Iris's notes, which revealed that death has come for everyone who escaped death and made it through the Skyview premonition. Since they were never meant to be there, he is now targeting Iris's genetic relatives in order: Howard, Eric, Bobby, Julia, Darlene, Stefani, and Charlie. The distraught Campbells all depart, enraged at Stefani. Later that evening, Eric almost dies while closing up at a tattoo parlor after a fan becomes tangled in chains that catch on his nose ring and causes him to tumble into an isopropyl alcohol-fueled fire. He is still alive when Stefani and Charlie try to find him because the leather jacket he was wearing kept him safe from the flames. Then, even after he almost gets knocked over by an ambulance, he mocks Stefani when she attempts to warn him about death. Stefani is then told to leave them alone by Julia, and after a sequence of incidents, she falls into a trash can after being kicked in the head by several kids in the area. She is then lifted by a truck and thrown into the compactor. Charlie and Eric are chasing the truck while Stefani tries to save her, but it's too late. Julia's head is crushed by the compactor. After that, the family begins to believe Stefani. Brenda explains that Death's decree omitted Eric because he isn't Howard's real son after Stefani shows confusion over it. Then Bobby, Darlene, Charlie, and Stefani make the decision to go find a JB who works at a hospital. Eric chooses to accompany them in order to ensure Bobby's safety. Stefani and Darlene start to work out their differences and mend their relationship during the voyage. Tony Todd's character, JB, at the hospital turns out to be William John Bloodworth, the son of the singer Iris rescued during the Skyview premonition. He and Iris have been friends for a long time, and they've been following Death and collaborating on her studies. He tells the family about Death's list and how they can either kill someone to end their life at the end of Final Destination 5, or die and be resurrected like Kimberly Corman at the end of Final Destination 2. He goes on to claim that he knows his time is approaching because Iris is dead and he has cancer as well. After he retires, Bloodworth wishes his family luck and encourages them to make the most of their remaining years.
Eric and Bobby made the decision to act independently and wander off to the hospital while Stephanie, Charlie, and Darlene were debating their next course of action. They decide on a strategy after briefly debating and ruling out the possibility of killing a baby. Eric would cause Bobby's fatal peanut allergy before having him resurrected at the hospital. The coil breaks when attempting to retrieve peanut butter cups from a vending machine. Then, in an attempt to remove the cups, Eric breaks the glass. Then, both brothers walk into an MRI room and inadvertently activate the equipment. Eric's piercings are all torn off his body by the machine's magnet, after Bobby swallows the peanut butter cup. Eric is then forced into the machine and crushed by a wheelchair. Then, when a shocked Stephanie, Charlie, and Darlene arrive, Bobby crawls to Eric's body to retrieve his EpiPen and stabs himself just in time. However, a nurse opens the door, sending the vending machine's coil flying right into his skull. An elderly woman at the hospital then picks up a coin that resembles the one that would have triggered the Skyview disaster. Now, when there were just 3 left, Darlene determined that the best course of action was to have her lock herself in Iris's compound and spend the remainder of her life there in order to ensure Stephanie and Charlie's survival. As they utilize Darlene's RV to break through the gate, an explosion occurs at the property due to a broken bulb. Then, while Charlie is pinned by debris, Stephanie becomes imprisoned in her seat due to a broken seatbelt. Charlie is set free by Darlene, but she is crushed when a lamp post falls on her. After that, Stephanie appears to drown, but Charlie saves her. As they believe they have vanquished death, the siblings embrace. Stephanie is getting ready to return to college a few days later. Charlie is sent off to his prom date by her decision. While trying to buy cookies, the elderly hospital woman unintentionally loses the penny, sending it soaring into the midst of the railroad tracks. Stephanie and Charlie learn that just reviving her doesn't mean that she died and was brought back to life because her heart never stopped. Signs that remind Stephanie of the Skyview premonition start to appear. After that, a train derails and heads for Stephanie and Charlie. The logs from the top tumble down and smash the 2 siblings as they escape to avoid the train. Following newspaper clippings about the incidents that killed the Skyview premonition survivors, the credits roll, and Stephanie and Charlie's obituary concludes. Tony Todd is then given an in memoriam credit.